All right, welcome back to another Metal Mondays. We just played Torture Tactics from Violence and Hard Road to Home from Pounder. As you know, we always start Monday off with violence. We have a lovely guest with us. We have Andy from Helloween. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Just woke up, so you have to forgive my small eyes, but it's a radio show, so you won't see it.
Definitely. I just woke up too. It's 6 a.m. over here.
Well, 2 p.m. over here.
Dang, lucky you. Well, let's get into this. Who designed the album cover?
Actually, the band tried to find something like a mixture of all the albums. So you have like a cocktail of the Master of the Rings rings and the Keeper of the Seven Keys keys, and then the guy from the Walls of Jericho who blows the horn and all that stuff together to show actually the little experiment we tried to do here to make a little journey through the 3 decades of power metal.
It's a,
So putting all the history from Halloween, like first singer Kai Hansen, second singer Michael Kiske, third singer Andi Deris, and put it all into a cocktail. And yeah, I think we achieved a good thing here.
you did. It's a pretty fucking cool album cover, to be honest with you.
Love
Definitely.
it.
Yeah, I
And
liked it.
it's the old original artist who did the Keeper of the Seven Keys as well. So he involved, so to say, because I think he never did a more good work than never seen a better work than on this one. The colors, it's fantastic, and also you should see the original painting is on in oil and like 7 8 times bigger than a vinyl cover. So it's definitely amazing.
And with you saying that they did a painting, do you have the painting?
I hope we'll welcome it soon into our rehearsal room. It's
But
on its way, it was promised, so can't wait to see it again. I've seen it once, but I hope it'll definitely end up in the rehearsal room. Even though we have to take care there a little bit because the rehearsal room, it's not good air and moisture and everything, and so I think we have to protect it somehow. Maybe put it behind glass. I don't know.
definitely, that'd be cool. So when did you guys start writing and recording this record?
Well, the writing never stops, actually. I think I'm speaking for my fellow members here that we all collect little ideas here and there. Even on the nightliner, you always see one or two guys sitting there with a guitar. Because, I mean, you can see that on tour. Sometimes it's getting pretty boring, depending where you are, looking out of the window and seeing the same landscape for hours sometimes, especially when you tour Canada. So this is unbelievable. I mean, I remember back in the days, I went to bed and it was that landscape. And I woke up like 7 hours later, went down, made a coffee, and tried to make a little breakfast there on the nightliner, and it was still the same landscape. So for 7 hours, it didn't change. Amazing, amazing landscape, but it did not change.
Yeah.
Occasionally, the only thrill was from time to time when we all got excited when there was a mailbox visible. The mailbox is someone where it's silver or in red or in blue. Oh, this time it's a green mailbox. That was the only thing that changed. It's unbelievable. So vast, so huge. Unbelievable.
That's insane. This is the first record featuring all three singers. What was the process deciding who was gonna sing on which song?
Yeah, you can imagine that this was like a little puzzle piece, which, yeah, sometimes a big puzzle thing.
Hmm.
So it really went to some. Sometimes it was fun because it was quite clear who sings what. Sometimes it was real hard work because nobody wanted to sing certain passages. So we had to, or let's put it that way, the bad guy always was the producer. He forced us to sing everything uh, because he's a friend. So since the year 2000, we do the productions with him. And Charlie Bauerfeind, his name is. He is most trusted, and whenever we argue and can't find a solution, then he's the one to step in and say, "Hey, look, guys, I think we're gonna do it like that. Let's listen to it, and if we all agree, we leave it. If not, we try another thing." So when it comes to vocals, we had to put it that way from the other side. Lots of people think because there are two singers, it's only half the work.
Hmm.
Honestly, it's sometimes double as much work because the two singers have to sing everything.
Yeah.
Additionally, because we are two singers, out there nobody would appreciate that we would bring in different people from the outside to sing the choirs that we sometimes need. So because you are two, sometimes three singers, because Kai Hansen, he used to be the first singer. He's always also a singer. So yeah, I mean, we had to make our own choirs as well. It means that Michael Kiske had to try the upper voice over my lead voice, or I had to try the upper voice over his lead voice. At the end of the day, we sang everything double and triple. So I would say it was sometimes double as much work, even though you're two singers.
Dang.
But it was a lot of fun. We're all puzzle fans, so here you go.
That's wild, man. So how did it feel the first time for all three of you guys to play together as the ultimate version of Helloween, combining all three eras?
Yeah, in the rehearsal room, that was actually a little bit of a thrilling thing to actually find out that the old songs originally sung by Michael Kiske suddenly appear again in that shiny great light, because Michael Kiske, I personally think, and I know there are millions of people who would agree, he's one of the best singers in that genre.
Mm-hmm.
So the only guy I could mention here would be Geoff Tate from Queensryche, for example, who in my eyes is that genius in that vibe of singing, in that style. So you have one of the greatest singers back in the band, and to listen to all the original songs from him was actually not only a relief for myself, because I'm a very egocentric guy, because I can say, well, I don't need to sing these songs anymore, finally, because it may always is a pain in the ass. So the original singer is back. Happy life for Andy. But from a musician point of view, I have to say, even though I did not know Michael Kiske personally, and suddenly I find him in my band and see myself proud that he's a member of the band, because he's singing so great.
Mm-hmm.
And all these songs that made me a hard life back in the days are now sung by the original singer, and I can sing my own shit. Yeah. So that's a dream come true. So from that point of view, everything went down smoothly from beginning on, even though, again, it was sometimes a lot of work, because we had to arrange and rearrange the old songs always with two singers, if possible, and these songs rearranged with two singers, because it should be something like that real Pumpkins United thing. And whenever we felt like that song could actually only participate if we have two singers, then we did it. And there were songs where it was quite clear from beginning on, it would probably be the best solution to go with the original singer, and the rest has a break here. So that's how we went on.
Definitely. Well, let's get in some tunes. We're going to play Hellfire Thunderbolt from KK's Priest here on Razor Radio. All right, we're coming back from Storm of Steel from Saber. Such a great band. Well, let's get back into this. You have been in the band since 1994. With writing a record, do you still go about writing songs the same way?
I try to. So, yeah, I would say the same way. It's always very dynamic, stretchable here, because there is no way. There are the same ways, which always been depending on the circumstances. So, for example, when I'm in holidays or when I'm in a hotel room on tour or wherever, I probably most of the time only have my little guitar here. Mm-hmm. This one, you can see it.
That's small.
Yeah. The fellow listeners can't see it, but it's a very small guitar, and it fits in every suitcase. Mm-hmm. And it already traveled 11 times the world with me. Whoa. And it's always by my side. So that's the way to write songs, with a little guitar, even without amp. So the only amp, when I really want to listen to it in a distortion tone with distortion sound, I switch it into my MacBook. And I got my Pro Tools in my MacBook, but that's the little travel Pro Tools. You cannot do that much, but at least you can record your ideas. Whereas when I'm back home, I got the big studio downstairs, so that means I switch on 50 things here, mixing board and this and that and blah, blah, blah. It takes me 4 minutes to actually just switch on the studio down there. Okay. So, and then I'm certainly into production. So I write songs like being in a production, and that's taking it much further. So the demos being done down there in the studio are like nearly finished production. So then there's the other way. When I'm down there at the beach, I only have my little iPhone, and it might quite be that some ideas hit from wherever they come, but suddenly they are there. Then the only thing I can do is record it with a voice memo. But nevertheless, there were great songs I created with voice memo. It's unbelievable. So there's no certain way. I have several ways, and I think whenever some idea hits, then you have to just record it to recall it somehow. Or maybe it's just a stupid sentence you have in your mind. I remember back in the days, I had this grammatically completely incorrect thing in my head, are you metal? So it's only grammatically correct if the people understand that when that metal is a brand and not only metal like iron. Otherwise, it would be completely wrong, and everybody looked at me like, but it's wrong. I said, yes, but it's cool. And the heavy metal guy knows exactly what I mean, so let's go for it. So yeah, if something is popping up in your mind, just try to keep it for eternity. However you have, whatever chance you have, just make sure you don't forget it.
Definitely. And so when you said earlier that you guys just constantly write and never stop, would you say any of the songs you wrote from the last record made it onto this record?
Yeah, Mass Pollution, for example. The song Mass Pollution is there. The refrain is here since years. But sometimes it's very, very hard for me to find corresponding verses or a bridge or middle parts or whatever. Something is like, I don't know. You don't have an idea, so you wait. And if it's only a fragment, like if it's only a refrain, and I have several or enough other ideas to work on, then I leave this certain part, in that case the refrain, I leave it until I have an idea which makes the song go forward. And I even don't make the guys listen to it because I know we have so many ideas and fragments at the end of the day to choose from. There always be enough work. So I know it's a great refrain, but I think, okay, just wait. It's not lost. Maybe it's for the next album, and most of the time that's true. Give it a year or so, and when the song is a little bit more mature in my head, then things are going much easier. Even though there's no law, I have to say. Sometimes a song is written in 45 minutes. You go like, wow, I just wrote a song in 45 minutes. I mean, that happens. Like If I Could Fly, for example, from The Dark Ride, it's 45 minutes. I mean, probably the fastest song I've ever written. And suddenly you realize that song was released back in the days, and it even went in several countries, went into the single charts, and it's a song you've written in 45 minutes. It's unbelievable. Damn. And sometimes you need a year or so. So hey, there's no certain way. That's probably the quintessence of it. Like, no certain way.
Did you have a game plan to how you wanted your vocals to sound on this record?
As good as possible, because I have a very, very successful and famous competition next to me. Competitioner. So I probably subconsciously, not on purpose, but subconsciously, I think he really kicked my ass, Michael. So I wanted to sing as high as he does, which sometimes is not a problem, but then I have to agree myself when it comes to these super high-pitched vocals, for example. Yeah, I can do it, but when it's a very romantic flying thing, then I often have to agree Michael sounds much better than me. So I'd rather say, Michael, you have to sing it. And then leave me these brutal things like where you really go crazy rock and roll bullshit, high-pitched stuff up there. That's Andy. Yeah. So Michael doesn't not want to sing that stuff for understandable reason, because when you sing brutal distortion shit up there, you really destroy your technique. So that means the clean voice is gone then for a day or so. So as a singer, you have to keep that in mind. And Michael is very conscious about his voice, so nothing screaming up there because it would destroy his clean voice. And I'm happy for that, because when I do the screaming, I don't have to give a shit about it, because I still can scream the next day. But the clean voice, you fuck it up for at least a day, so you have to wait until it recovers. And you may imagine on tour that's a killer. I mean,
Yeah,
on
definitely.
tour that we're so we're both super grateful that we can share this job. So I can sing the technique I favor. He can sing his clean stuff, and I think that's a perfect combination for live. You know,
Yeah.
3 hour show that we did. The whole world tour was 2 hours 50, sometimes 3 hours 10. Yeah. So shared vocals makes it possible. I mean, the only guys who actually are to you have to feel sorry, pity for is the drummer and the bass player. I mean, they go for 3 hours, full program. I don't know how they do it, but they do. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's unbelievable.
It's insane. Well, let's get into some more tunes. We're gonna play "Pray for Peace" from Carnifex here on Razor Radio. All right, we're coming back from Dominant from Beartooth. Let's get back into this. With having two singers write on this record, writing songs on this record, how did it all work out?
Yeah, as mentioned earlier, puzzle piece by puzzle piece.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, trying to make it better. Listen again, like it, yeah, leave it. Don't like it, change it again.
Yeah.
So very much patience is needed. A good producer is needed, which we have, fortunately, who also has to be a little bit of a shrink, so from time to time, because I can't sing it, I'm not good enough, blah, 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 shit in the studio. No, you can do it, just give it a try, again. And a good help from Michael's side, if I may speak for myself, but I think Michael would say the same thing about me. To have a fellow singer next to you who completely understands you. I mean, if I don't understand Michael and he would not understand me, being both singers,
Mm-hmm.
then who would? So at the end of the day, this was a very good help and always giving you. Well, it takes away a lot of pressure. Put it that way.
Definitely.
Because this time in the studio, I knew I'm not the only singer who has to actually make the job. If I can't sing it or if there's a problem, I ask Michael, can you do that? And he was like, oh, yeah, okay, let's try it. And he sings it, and I go like, oh, I don't like it. Andy, you have to do it. Okay, then I'm going to do it until it sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
But the big pressure things that you really had to force yourself to be good on and even have to take the help of technique to make it sound good,
Mm-hmm.
which nowadays is possible. You can make a mediocre singer here and there. You can really make him a good singer. And sometimes there are things that for me as a singer, this or that passage is, I don't know, hard work. It's not my thing. I always don't like myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I take a little bit of technique. Charlie makes his little magic turns on whatever buttons,
Mm-hmm.
and suddenly it sounds good. Maybe more reverb, maybe more echo. And suddenly you think, okay, I'm sounding up. But sometimes it's such a hard, it's nearly war. You go to war, actually, with a certain phrase or certain sentence or certain passage in a song which you really hate. No, you can't do it. It's not your thing. But you're the only singer. You have to do it.
Yes.
And this is like something, this is gone because you're two singers, you share that thing, and somehow you do it. Somehow you can do it, both of you, without pressure. And this was pretty clear after 2 songs recording that this is a much better life now.
Mm-hmm. And with you guys writing this record, did you guys write it as a band or did you guys write it all separately?
Yes and no. Both. So, there were songs nearly finished, like for example, Fear of the Fallen. From the demo, it was already finished. The only thing I left for the boys to do was, because they asked me if possible to leave the solo parts open,
Mm-hmm.
which I did. So I only presented that first solo part, that twiddle guitar double solo thing, which is appearing again at the end of the solo. And all the rest I left open. I said, look, that's the beginning part, and then you do your solo parts and try to get back into the original part again, and then we're back on track. So they added 3 solo parts, did a fabulous job here, the boys. So for this song, there was nothing to do, actually. Other songs I presented, and speaking for the boys as well, because they pretty much did the same. There were nearly finished songs. There were songs which were more or less fragments, where we as a band, when we had a listening session, thought, in the listening session, we have to do this idea, we have to finish this idea, because they are super great. Best example, Best Times. Best time was only that riff fragment that you listen in the intro to, that you listen to in the intro. That da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da da da. I personally thought this is so easygoing and so catchy, and it's always a matter of taste, I know, but I thought it's great, and so I sat down with Sasha, the guitarist, and we finished the song in the hotel room during the pre-production, and when we made the boys listen to it very next day, they were like completely hooked and said, "Yeah, cool. That's like that I Want Out style thing. Mm-hmm. It's not an I Want Out, but it's got that groove. It's got that feeling." Yeah. To cut a long story short, everything is possible. Mm-hmm. When you come into the rehearsal room and you say, "Guys, I have this idea," blah, 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 and everybody goes like, "Oh fuck, no, we don't like that." Okay, but it might be something where everybody goes like, "Wow, okay. That sounds like promising. Let's go to work on it." And the good thing in our band, we don't discuss, we don't argue in theory and with words. It's music. And everybody, that's the good thing. Everybody is good enough to actually sit down in a few seconds, rehearses it for 10 or 12 seconds. You go like, "Yeah, that's it. Okay, let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and boom, here we go." So you don't lose time. When you have great musicians, you can play just from scratch. That spares a lot of time. And sometimes you have to learn that even a mediocre idea where you think, "I don't think that this will be something worth recording," or "I don't know," but the boys play it and you go like, "Oh, wow, fuck. Okay, now I get it." And suddenly it turns out to be a great idea. So I always learn that my taste is from the first impression is not really always the impression I have when I listen to the finished product. Suddenly I'm thrilled, and I know exactly that back in the days I was not thrilled at all.
So, what was the process picking the order the songs were lined up in on this record?
The order, the running order.
Yes.
Well, that's always a tricky thing as well, because the band has this opinion and the producers have that opinion, then the management has a completely different opinion, and the record company at the end of the day goes, "Are you fucking crazy?" So there's so many people who look at it from different perspectives. There were albums where the band running order was great, and at the end of the day made the album exactly the way it is now. There are albums which we actually gave into the will of the record company. This time I would say it was a mixture. The only thing the record company wanted to have Out of the Glory, they wanted to have as an opener. Originally it should be Fear of the Fallen. We were all happy with that decision, and it turns out to be a great idea, because now you got the opening with the welcoming song Out of the Glory, which is mainly Michael Kiske. And I think that's the right sign, because if you open that new Helloween album, I think the main guy from back in the days should be presented, because the last 20 plus years you always heard Andy. So Andy is boring, meanwhile, because you have him since 20 plus years, so yeah, it's nothing special. But now Michael is back, and I completely understand, and I think that's the right decision to push Michael and not Andy. I mean, I'm still here, so I'm not going anywhere. So yeah, this time the record company had to make that decision for understandable reason. Cool. Nobody's hurt in his ego.
Definitely. Well, we're going to play some new Helloween. We're going to play Fear of the Fallen from Helloween here on Razor Radio. All right, we're coming back from Mass Pollution from Helloween. I love the bass riff you guys have at the beginning of that. It's amazing.
Yeah, distortion bass. Since
awesome.
Lemmy from Motorhead, rest in peace. This is always something I try to put into the music, like a distortion bass. I love that shit. But most of the times when the music begins, you have to get away with the distortion. You have to, more or less put it to 1 instead of 10. You can't crank it up because you have 3 guitars. Otherwise, they would completely what's the right word? Mud of frequencies, so to say. Mm-hmm. In Motorhead, I still love it. I mean, the bass guitar is nearly a lead instrument there because it's so distortion. But they only had 1 guitar, so that's made possible by this. In Helloween, it's not possible. But there's the intro, so yeah, you can crank it up.
Oh yeah. And then, do you have a favorite song on this record?
Several. It depends on the mood. I mean, when I'm in happy mood, in the moment, we have beautiful sunshine here, so it's best time.
Mm-hmm.
I really love that one. When it's getting dark, I would definitely go for Fear of the Fallen. And when I'm really having time to relax and close my eyes, because you need some 12, 13 minutes, I would go for Skyfall. Mm-hmm. It depends on. I mean, for me, there's no bad song on the album. I mean, there's ups and downs, and depending on my mood, I have to say. I think that's for everybody out there. I think it depends on your mood, actually, what you love to hear now. But I think the whole album is a great journey. So all little babies we love. No special baby that we love more.
Yeah.
Depending on the mood, I would say.
Ask you guys how you guys stay relevant with being a band for 4 decades and having like 16 studio records come out.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely because we have so much lineup changes. That's not the reason why we are still together. But when you have so much lineup changes, I think you go through different eras with different people. And sometimes it makes it more interesting and the album is getting better. And sometimes, which we also had to live with, is that certain members bring a mood down and bring the album down. That's why you have all these waves of ups and downs. And through 40 years, I think that's the most normal thing. It's like a marriage, actually, you know. And in a band, the most important thing is that the founding members have to be stable because they have to keep up the brand. They are responsible to keep up the brand as much as possible. And you may guess that each and every new member is not only maybe a positive thing, but also a danger to bring down the brand, to attack that brand. Because we had members, I don't mention names, but we had members in the band who were not actually Helloween music fans, which only turned out after 1 or 2 years. And then you had to actually fight against an enemy inside your own band.
Dang.
So, but nevertheless, what keeps you going? I think the hobby. Nobody actually planned to make a profession out of this.
Oh, yeah.
Started out in a school band, like everybody probably, or 99% of all bands start out as school bands. And suddenly there's something going. And you've got a contract. Being a school band. Yeah. Best example, Def Leppard, for example, you know, and still around after 50-something years.
Oh, yeah.
Same happened here, more or less. One member left the band, Kai Hansen, back in the days, after the biggest success of the Keeper albums, because it was too much pressure for him, too much touring.
Yeah. One
guy couldn't stand all that courtship going down and all the problems the band suddenly faced with the battle with the old record company. And that guy even threw himself in front of a subway train. So it's Ingo Schwarzenberg, the old drummer. Which means now with Kai back, all the founders are back in Helloween, except Ingo Schwarzenberg, who is not amongst us anymore since '94. But what keeps you going? The hobby. You make music, you love music, you have ideas, you want to go for it. You find out there are people out there who love your ideas. It's getting more and more people, and suddenly you end up in a heavy metal band some 40 years later who is traveling the world. And yeah, I mean, what more could you ask for? So you stay with it. You stick with it. You're happy, you're grateful, and you stick with it.
Right. What I have learned about Helloween, you guys have a lot of a cult following. Like everyone likes you, and if they're like a big follower of you guys.
Yeah, I think what I learned is we have that we built that bridge. Put it that way. I feel that we built a bridge. That metal can be everything you want. Metal can be happy. Metal can be evil. Metal can be dark. Everything. Aggressive. And we can even write a ballad and you're romantic. So that's metal, our Helloween metal. I think we build bridges to subgenres, and we're trying to stay on that in that ballpark where even a black metal guy could find a song that he loves, and even let's talk about the cliche. Even a housewife could find a super nice ballad like "Forever and One." Even though I pity them sometimes because they come into the concert because they wait 3 hours, they wait for "Forever and One." Now you can imagine they have to endure like some 2 hours 50 to finally listen to their ballad, and they are completely destroyed because I mean, Helloween is not a ballad band; it's power metal. So can you imagine the faces of these housewives? They are nearly white, so they are going bleach and well. But yeah, I mean, maybe that's a little bit of a recipe for us. We don't want to be black. We don't want to be white. We don't want to be brutal only. We want to be everything that rock and roll stood for back in the days. And this is what we try to combine in metal music. It's not called rock and roll anymore, certainly because of the sound. We cranked up the guitars. It's much more distortion. The drums are banging your brains out. And yes, the sound changed. But for me, it's still rock and roll.
Definitely.
And rock and roll is from the street for the people and should not only, in my humble opinion and for my band should not only play one mood, but combine everything as back in the days rock and roll did. That is our recipe and it works. And for others, it's their recipe and I love it if they do that. But for us, it's that what's the right word in English? If you don't not only show one color, but different or all colors.
What diverse? Would that be?
Diversity, exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Where can everyone keep up with Helloween and buy this amazing record?
Oh, I hope everywhere, from Amazon to in Europe, we got these media markets and Saturns, and I would say in the Americas it would be like Walmart or something like that. I don't know. I have to admit I have been in a Walmart still since like 9 or 10 years.
Dang.
So I don't even know if they still got a record section, but I strongly hope they do. Lots of people go online, certainly.
Definitely. Well, I'd like to thank you for being on the show.
It was a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you very much. And yeah, I just hope you enjoy the album as much as we do.
Oh yeah.
We just learned. We just got #1 in Germany with the album. This is unbelievable, biggest success we ever had. And yeah, can't wait to see the charts for the rest of the world.
Definitely. Well, we're going to end the show with Skyfall and see you guys next Monday here on Razor Radio.